Reports are coming in of massive fires, dried up oceans, and an unstoppable heat wave.
A catastrophic solar apocalypse is unfolding.
If you're still outside, seek shelter immediately.
This may be the end of the world as we know it.
Hello guys, in this video I'm going to test a mod that adds a solar apocalypse to Minecraft. This mod is designed to last 140 days, but to make this video faster I changed the settings and tried to survive just 40 days. The mod is quite interesting since it has block destruction, grass burning and water evaporation. However, it also has some drawbacks, which I will talk about later. My journey began with a decision to spend most of my time searching for treasure. I didn't want to go into caves just yet since, once the apocalypse starts, I will be spending most of my time on the ground anyway. I took the chance to explore the surface a bit longer and started looting villagers and shipwrecks. Look at this path for yourself. After building myself a small bunker, I decided to kill the dragon before the solar apocalypse burned everything in its path. I had only 20 days left, so without wasting any time, I headed to the Nether to get Blaze Road.
What are you doing here?
I quickly found a blaze spawner, but there were so many blazes that I couldn't fully block it off, so I had no choice but to fight them while hiding behind the wall.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
On my way back to the portal, I ran out of food, and to make matter worse, I got hit by a blaze. I was down to half a heart, so I had to be extra careful. Still, I managed to get home without dying. After that, I started searching for the end portal, and fortunately, it wasn't too far from my home. After the dragon killed me, it went absolutely crazy. Every time I got close, I could only hit about twice before it knocked me back and flew off. On top of that, Enderman started attacking me for no apparent reason. First, I didn't want to place a bed near the portal because I would have to run all the way back home if I die. However, after dying a few times, I finally decided to play smart.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no.
Oh, yes.
After returning home from defeating the dragon, I started collecting wood and breaking my bunker. First, I decided to make a room for tree farming, which by the way I'm still not sure worked. But also planned to build a room for spawning hostile mobs and a room with a water source for fishing and keeping water supplies. Occasionally I would leave my bunker to check on the change happening in the world, and they were pretty obvious. The grass disappeared, the trees were gone, and the water started evaporating. However, you could immediately notice that these changes were only happening in the small area you were in. For example, if you run a bit farther, you will see that the terrain was only just beginning to change. By the way, I had my chance set to maximum, so it wasn't an issue with that. In my final days, I spent my time fishing and trying to sail on a boat. It was possible, but for the most part the boat would sink. Not far from my home there was an underwater temple, and I wanted the water to evaporate so I could loot it. However, another issue with this mod was its strange way of evaporating water. Most of the time it evaporates in loaded areas, but it doesn't always happen. I even switched to creative mode to load the chunks around the underwater temple, but after half an hour the water only lowered a little, and usually not near the temple. I think the main problem is that my computer couldn't handle the load, which is why the water didn't disappear. So before downloading this mod, I recommend having a good computer. For my final night before the full apocalypse, I decided to spend it outside. I wouldn't recommend doing this, and you're about to see why. I did it because this video is more of an experiment to review the mod, but for survival it's a terrible idea. The moment you step into the sunlight, you start burning. Water can help, but there's a catch. If you place water above you, it will eventually evaporate, and you will burn anyway. That's why I couldn't place water above myself and safely drop down. Picking it up and placing it again doesn't work either. Even the chest didn't protect me from the sun. After breaking my bed, I died and respawned as spawn. You could immediately see the biome around me starting to change. As a final test, I turned it on at Storm to see how it looks since this mod also affects Storm. Nothing major changed except for a higher chance of lightning strike. And with that, this video comes to an end. Thanks for your support. If you'd like to see me survive after the apocalypse, let me know in the comments, and maybe I will make a part 2. This was your Nami. See you next time.